Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, June 4, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern. It's okay to love and appreciate yourself more than normal. It's okay to enjoy this warm, healing, gooey feeling as much as you possibly can. No matter how many times you've been hurt in the past or felt rejected by someone, love will always be there inside of you to catch you. Sometimes you are fully open to trusting in this magical space, while other times you'll want to control it because your ego is afraid of dying to it. What matters most is that your heart is rooted in love and that you make love the very center of your life. I invite you to fully let go of your ego's inhibitions and step into the greatest love of your life today. Take this leap of trust into the unknown abyss. Commit your life to living 24/7 in the healing vibration of love and see what happens. The amazing quality of life that love brings will be far worth the risk. You can relax forever into this safe womb of healing love inside you. The magic instantly happens the moment you let go of your resistance to it. Today is that golden opportunity to experience real love all day long. If you're still alive, then you still have a chance. We get often confused with love on this planet. Love is not what is ordinarily understood by the word. The ordinary love is just a masquerade. Something else is hiding behind it. The real love is a totally different phenomenon. The ordinary love is a demand. The real love is a sharing. It knows nothing of demand. It knows the joy of giving. The ordinary love pretends too much. The real love is non-pretentious. It simply is. The ordinary love becomes almost sickening, syrupy, drippy, what you call lovey-dovey. It is sickening. It is nauseating. The real love is a nourishment. It strengthens your soul. The ordinary love only feeds your ego. Not the real you, but the unreal you. The unreal always feeds the unreal. Remember that the real feeds the real. Become a servant of real love. And that means becoming a servant of love in its ultimate purity. Give, share whatsoever you have. Share and enjoy sharing. Don't do it as if it is a duty, when the whole joy is gone. Then the whole joy is gone. You do it as a duty, then the whole joy is gone. And don't feel that you are obliging the other. Never, not even for a single moment. Love never obliges. On the contrary, when somebody receives your love, you feel obliged. Love is thankful that it has been received. Love never waits to be rewarded, even to be thanked. If thankfulness comes from the other side, love is always surprised. It is a pleasant surprise because there was no expectation. You cannot frustrate real love because there is no expectation in the first place. And you cannot fulfill unreal love because it is so rooted in expectation that whatsoever is done always falls short. Its expectation is too great. Nobody can fulfill it. So the unreal love always brings frustration, and the real love always brings fulfillment. Think about that a moment. The unreal love always brings frustration, and the real love always brings fulfillment. And when I say become a servant of love, I'm not saying to become a servant of somebody whom you love? No, not at all. I'm not saying to become a servant of a lover. I'm saying become a servant of love. The pure idea of love should be worshipped. Your lover is only one of the forms of that pure idea. And the whole existence contains nothing but millions of forms of that pure idea. The flower is one idea, one form. The moon, another. Your lover, still another. Your child, your mother, your father. They are all forms, all waves in the ocean of love. But never become a servant of a lover. Remember always that your lover is only one tiny expression. Serve love through the lover so that you never become attached to the lover. And when one is not attached to the lover, love reaches its highest peaks. The moment one is attached, one starts falling low. Attachment is a kind of gravitation. Unattachment is grace. Attachment is a kind of gravitation. Unattachment is grace. Unreal love is another name for attachment. Real love is very detached. Unreal love shows so much concern, it is always concern. Real love is considerate, but has no concern. If you really love a man, you will be considerate of his true need, but you will not show unnecessary concern for his foolish, stupid fantasies. You will take every care of his needs, but you are not there to fulfill his fictitious desires. You will not fulfill anything that is really going to harm him. For example, you will not fulfill his ego, although his ego will be demanding. The person who is too concerned, detached, will fulfill the ego demands. That means you are poisoning your beloved. Consideration means you will see that this is not a real need, but an ego need. You will not fulfill it. Consideration means you will see that this is not a real need, but an ego need. You will not fulfill it. Love knows compassion, but no concern. Sometimes it is hard because sometimes it is needed to be hard. Sometimes it is very aloof. If it helps to be aloof, it is aloof. Sometimes it's very cold. If it is needed to be cold, then it is cold. Whatever the need, love is considerate, but not concerned. It will not fulfill any unreal need. It will not fulfill any poisonous idea in the other. Search into, meditate on love, experiment. Love is the greatest experiment in life. And those who live without experimenting with love energy will never know what life is. They will only remain on the surface without going into the depth of it. Love-oriented. You can drop the word God very easily. There is no problem. But you cannot drop the word love. If I had to choose between the words love and God, I will choose love. I will forget all about God because those who know love are bound to know God. But it is not vice versa. Those who think about God and philosophize about God may never know about love and will never know about God either. So we look at real and unreal. Love yourself and watch. Today, tomorrow, always. Love yourself. Now understand that this civilization has been taught the opposite. Just the opposite has been taught to you by all the traditions of this world. all the civilizations, all the cultures, all the churches, they say love others. Don't love yourself. And there is a certain cunning strategy behind their teaching. Just the opposite has been taught. Love is the nourishment for the soul, just as food is to the body. So love is to the soul. Without food, the body is weak. Without love, the soul is weak. And no state, no church, no vested interest has ever wanted people to have strong souls, because a person with spiritual energy is bound to be rebellious. Love makes you rebellious, revolutionary. Love gives you wings to soar high. Love gives you insight into things so that nobody can deceive you, exploit you, oppress you. And the priest and the politicians survive only on your blood. They survive only on exploitation. All the priests and politicians are parasites to make you spiritually weak. They have found a sure method, 100% guaranteed. And that is to teach you not to love yourself. Because, excuse me, if a man cannot love himself, he cannot love anybody else either. The teaching is very tricky. So they say love others, because they know that if you cannot love yourself, you cannot love at all. But they go on saying, love others, love humanity, love God, love nature, love your wife, your husband, your children, your parents. But don't love yourself, because to love oneself is selfish, according to them. They condemn self-love as they condemn nothing else. And they have made their teaching look very logical. They say, if you love yourself, you will become an egoist. If you love yourself, you will become narcissistic. That's crap. A man who loves himself finds that there is no ego in him. It is by loving others without loving yourself, trying to love others, that the ego arises. The missionaries, the social reformers, the social servants have the greatest egos in the world, naturally, because they think themselves to be superior human beings. They are not ordinary. Ordinary people love themselves. They love others. They love great ideals. They love God. And all their love is false, because all their love is without any roots. A man who loves himself takes the first step toward real love. It is like throwing a pebble into a silent lake. The first circular ripples will arise around the pebble, very close to the pebble naturally. Where else can they arise? And then they will go on spreading. They will reach the farthest shore. If you stop those ripples arising close to the pebble, there will be no other ripples at all. Then you cannot hope to create ripples reaching to the farthest shores. It is impossible. And the priests and the politicians become aware of the phenomenon. Stop people loving themselves, and you have destroyed their capacity to love. Stop people loving themselves, and you have destroyed their capacity to love. Now, whatsoever they think is love will be only pseudo. It may be duty, but not love. And duty is a four-letter dirty word. Parents are fulfilling their duties towards their children. And then in return, children will fulfill their duties towards their parents. The wife is dutiful towards her husband, and the husband is dutiful towards his wife. Where is love? Love knows nothing of duty. Duty is a burden, a formality. Love is a joy, a sharing. Love is informal. The lover never feels that he has done enough. The lover always feels that more was possible. The lover never feels, I have obliged the other. On the contrary, he feels, because my love has been received, I am obliged. The other has obliged me by receiving my gift, but not rejecting it. The man of duty thinks, I am higher, spiritual, extraordinary. Look how I serve people. These servants of the people are the most pseudo people in the world, and the most mischievous too. If we can get rid of the public servants, humanity will be unburdened. We'll feel very light. We'll be able to dance again, sing again. But for centuries, your roots have been cut, poisoned. You have been made afraid of ever being in love with yourself, which is the first step of love and the first experience. A man who loves himself respects himself. And a man who loves and respects himself respects others too, because he knows, just as I am, so are others. Just as I enjoy love, respect, dignity, so do others. He becomes aware that we are not different as far as the fundamentals are concerned. We are one. We are under the same law. Buddha said, we live under the same eternal law. In the details, we may be a little bit different from each other. That brings variety. That is beautiful. But in the foundations, we are all part of one nature. The man who loves himself enjoys the love so much, becomes so blissful, that the love starts overflowing, starts reaching others. It has to reach. If you live love, you have to share it. You cannot go on loving yourself forever, because one thing will become absolutely clear to you, that if loving one person, yourself, is so tremendously ecstatic and beautiful, how much more ecstasy is waiting for you? You start sharing your love with many, many, many people. Slowly the ripples start reaching farther and farther. You love other people, then you start loving animals, birds, trees, rocks. You can fill the whole universe with your love. A single person is enough to fill the whole universe with love, just as a single pebble can fill the whole lake with ripples. A small pebble. Only a Buddha can say, love yourself. No priest, no politician. Only an enlightened one can say, love yourself. No priest, no politician can agree with it, because this is destroying their whole edifice, their whole structure of exploitation. If a man is not allowed to love himself, his spirit, his soul becomes weaker and weaker and weaker every day. His body may grow, but he has no inner growth, because he has no inner nourishment. He remains a body almost without a soul, or with only a potentiality, a possibility of a soul. The soul remains a seed, and it will remain a seed if you cannot find the right soil of love for it. And you will not find it if you follow the stupid idea, don't love yourself. Love yourself first. It has nothing to do with ego. You know, when I ask people, it's all about you. It's all about you. Love yourself first. If you don't love yourself first, you aren't going to love anybody else. It has nothing to do with the ego. In fact, love is such a light that the darkness of the ego cannot exist in it at all. If and when you love others, if and when your love is focused on others, you will live in darkness. Turn your light toward yourself first. Become a light unto yourself first. Let the light dispel your inner darkness, your inner weakness. Let love make you a tremendous power of spiritual force. And once your soul is powerful, you know you are not going to die. You are immortal. You are eternal. Love gives you the first insight into eternity. Love is the only experience that transcends time. That's why lovers are not afraid of death. Love knows no death. A single moment of love is more than a whole eternity. But love has to begin from the very beginning. Love has to start with this first step. Love yourself. Don't condemn yourself. You have been condemned so much, and you have accepted all that condemnation. Now you go on doing harm to yourself. Nobody thinks himself worthy enough. Nobody thinks himself a beautiful creation of God. Nobody thinks that he is needed at all. These are poisonous ideas. But you have been poisoned. You have been poisoned with your mother's milk. And this has been your whole past. Humanity has lived under a dark, dark, dark cloud of self-condemnation. If you condemn yourself, how can you grow? How can you ever become mature? And if you condemn yourself, how can you worship existence? If you cannot worship existence within you, you will become incapable of worshiping existence in others. It won't be doable. You can become part of the whole if you have great respect for the God that resides within you. You can become part of the whole only if you have great respect for the God within you. You are a host. God is your guest. By loving yourself, you will know this, that God has chosen you to be a vehicle. In choosing you to be a vehicle, he has already respected you, loved you. In creating you, he has shown his love for you. He has not made you accidentally. He has made you with a certain destiny, with a certain potential, with a certain glory that you have to attain. And yes, God has created man in his own image. Man has to become a God. Unless man becomes a God, there is going to be no fulfillment, no contentment. But how can you become a God? Your priests say that you are a sinner. Your priests say that you are doomed, that you are bound to go to hell. And they make you very much afraid of loving yourself. This is their trick, to cut the very root of love. And they are very cunning people. The most cunning profession in the world is that of the priest. Then he says, love others. Now, it is going to be plastic, synthetic, a pretension, a performance. They say, love humanity, your mother country, your motherland, life, existence, God. Big words, but utterly meaningless. Have you ever come across humanity? You always come across human beings. And you have condemned the first human being that you came across. You have condemned the first human being that you've come across. That is you. You have not respected yourself, not loved yourself. Now your whole life will be wasted in condemning others. That's why people are such great fault finders. They find fault with themselves. How can they avoid finding the same faults in others? In fact, they will find them, they will magnify them, they will make them as big as possible. That seems to be the only way out. Somehow, to save face, you have to do it. That's why there is so much criticism and such a lack of love. This is one of the most profound sutras of Buddha, which means the most profound sutras of enlightenment. And only an awakened person can give you such an insight. He says, love yourself. This can become the foundation of a radical transformation. Do not be afraid of loving yourself. Love totally. You will be surprised. The day you can get rid of all the self-condemnation, the self-disrespect, the day you can get rid of the idea of original sin, the day you can think of yourself as worthy and loved by existence, will be a day of great loving. From that day onward, you will start seeing people in their true light. And you will have compassion. And it will not be cultivated compassion. It will be a natural, spontaneous flow. And a person who loves himself can easily become meditative. Because meditation means being with yourself. Now, if you hate yourself, as you do, as you have been told to do, and you've been following it religiously. If you hate yourself, how can you be with yourself? And meditation is nothing but enjoying your beautiful aloneness, celebrating yourself. That's what meditation is all about, celebrating yourself. Meditation is not a relationship. The other is not needed at all. One is enough unto oneself. One is bathed in one's own glory, bathed in one's own light. One is simply joyous because one is alive, because one is. The greatest miracle in this world is that you are, that I am. To be is the greatest miracle. And meditation opens the doors of this great miracle. But only a man who loves himself can meditate. Otherwise, you are always escaping from yourself, avoiding yourself. Who wants to look at an ugly face? And who wants to penetrate into an ugly being? Who wants to go deep into one's own mud, into one's own darkness? Who wants to enter into the hell that you think you are? You want to keep this whole thing covered up with beautiful flowers, and you want always to escape from yourself. Hence, people are continuously seeking company. They can't be with themselves. They want to be with others. People are seeking any type of company. If they can avoid the company of themselves, anything will do. They will sit in a movie house for 3 hours watching something utterly stupid. They will read a detective novel for hours, wasting their time. They will read the same newspaper again and again and again just to keep themselves engaged. They will play cards and chess just to kill time, as if they have too much time. We don't have too much time. We don't have enough time to grow, to be, to rejoice. But this is one of the basic problems created by a wrong upbringing. You avoid yourself. People are sitting in front of their TVs, glued to their chairs 4, 5, even 6 hours. The average American is watching TV 5+ hours per day. And this dis-ease is going to spread all over the world. And what are you seeing? And what are you getting? Burning your eyes? But this has always been so. And even if the TV was not there, there are other things. The problem is the same. How to avoid oneself because one feels so ugly. And who has made you feel ugly? Who? Your so-called religious people? Your popes? They are responsible for distorting your facts. And they have succeeded. They have made everybody ugly. Each child is born beautiful. When we start distorting his beauty, his or her beauty, crippling them in many ways, paralyzing them in many ways, distorting their proportion, making them unbalanced, sooner or later, they become so disgusted with themselves that they're ready to be with anybody. They may go to a prostitute just to avoid themselves. Love yourself, says Buddha. Love yourself, says Enlightened One. And this can transform the whole world. It can destroy the whole ugly past. It can herald a new age. It can be the beginning of a new humanity. Hence, my insistence on love. But love begins with you, yourself. Then it can go on spreading. It goes on spreading of its own accord. You need not do anything to spread it. Love yourself, says Buddha. And then immediately he adds, and watch. That is meditation. That is Buddha's name for meditation. But the first requirement is to love yourself. And then watch. If you don't love yourself and start watching, you may feel like committing suicide. Many Buddhists feel like committing suicide because they don't pay attention to the first part of the sutra. They immediately jump to the second, watch yourself. In fact, I have never come across a single commentary on the Dhammapada, on these sutras of the Buddha, which has paid any attention to the first part. Love yourself. Socrates says, know thyself. Buddha says, love thyself. Buddha is far more true. Because unless you love yourself, you will never know yourself. Knowing comes only later on. Love prepares the ground. Love is the possibility of knowing oneself. Love is the right way to know oneself. So there's one man talking with a Buddhist monk. This man's now passed left body. He was a good man. We were talking about the Dhammapada, and we came across this sutra, and he started talking about watching, as if he had not read the first part at all. No traditional Buddhist ever pays any attention to the first part. He simply bypasses it. So I said to him, wait, you are overlooking something very essential. Watching is a second step, and you are making it the first step. It cannot be the first step. Then he read the sutra again, and he said with mystified eyes, I have been reading the Dhammapada my whole life, and I must have read this sutra millions of times. It is my everyday morning prayer to go through. The Dhammapada, I can repeat it simply from memory, but I have never thought that love yourself is the first part of meditation and watching is the second part. And this is the case with millions of enlightened ones all over the world. And this is the case with neo-Buddhists. Also, because in the West, Buddhism is now spreading. The time for Buddha, the enlightened one, has come into the West. Now the West is reading to understand Buddha. And the same mistake is being made there too. Nobody thinks that loving yourself has to be the foundation of knowing yourself, of watching yourself. Because unless you love yourself, you cannot face yourself. You will avoid. Your watching may itself be a way of avoiding yourself. First, love yourself and watch today, tomorrow. always. Create loving energy around yourself. Love your body. Love your mind. Love your whole mechanism, your whole organism. By love is meant. Accept it as it is. Don't try to repress. We repress only when we hate something. We repress only when we are against something. Don't repress. Because if you repress, how are you going to watch? And we cannot look eye to eye at the enemy. We can look only in the eyes of our beloved. If we are not a lover of ourselves, we will not be able to look into your own eyes, into your own face, into your own reality. Watching is meditation. Buddha's name for meditation. Watch is Buddha's watchword. He says, be aware, be alert, don't be unconscious, don't behave in a sleepy way. Do not go on functioning like a machine, like a robot. That's how people are functioning on this planet in this now. Mike had just moved into his apartment and decided he should get acquainted with his across-the-hall neighbor. When the door was opened, he was delightfully surprised to see a beautiful young blonde bulging out of a skimpy, see-through negligee. Mike looked her squarely in the eye and ad-libbed, "Hi, I'm your new sugar across the hall. Can I become a cup of neighbor?" People are living unconsciously. They are not aware of what they are saying, what they are doing. They are not watchful. People go on guessing, not seeing. They don't have any insight they can't have. Insight arises only through great watchfulness. Then you can see even with closed eyes. Right now you can't see even with open eyes. You guess, you infer, you impose, you project. Grace lay on the psychiatrist's couch. "Close your eyes and relax," said the shrink, "and I will try an experiment." He took a leather key case from his pocket, flipped it open, and shook the keys. "What did that sound remind you of?" he asked. "Sex," she whispered. Then he closed his key case and touched it to the girl's upturned palm. Her body stiffened. "And that?" asked the psychiatrist. "Sex," Grace murmured nervously. "Now open your eyes," instructed the doctor, "and tell me why what I did was sexually evocative to you." Hesitatingly, her eyes flickered open. Grace saw the key case in the psychiatrist's hands and blushed scarlet. "Well, to begin with," she stammered, "I thought that first sound was your zipper opening." Your mind is constantly projecting itself. Your mind is constantly interfering with reality, giving it a color, shape, and form that are not its own. Your mind never allows you to see that which is. It allows you to see only that which it wants you to see. Scientists used to think that our eyes, ears, nose, and other senses and the mind were nothing but openings to reality, bridges to reality. But now the whole understanding has changed. Now they say our senses and the mind are not really openings to reality, but guards against it. Only 2% of reality ever gets through these guards into you. 2%. 98% of reality is kept outside. And the 2% that reaches you and your being is no longer the same. It has to pass through so many barriers. It has to conform to so many mind things that by the time it reaches you, it is no longer itself. Meditation means putting the mind aside so that it no longer interferes with reality. And you can see things as they are. Why does the mind interfere at all? because the mind is created by society. It is society's agent within you. It is not in your service. Remember, it is your mind, but it is not in your service. It is in a conspiracy against you. It has been conditioned by society. Society has implanted many things in it. It is your mind that it no longer functions as a servant to you. It functions as a servant to society. If you are a Christian, then it functions as an agent of the Christian church. If you are a Hindu, then your mind is Hindu. If you are Buddhist, your mind is Buddhist. And reality is neither Christian, nor Hindu, nor Buddhist. Reality is simply as it is. You have to put these minds aside. The communist mind, the fascist mind, the Catholic mind, the Protestant mind, there are 3,000, 50,000 religions on the earth. Big religions, small religions, very small sects, and sects within sects. 3,000 plus to 50,000 to 60,000. So there exists thousands of minds, types of minds, and reality is one, and existence is one, and truth is one. Meditations mean put the mind aside and watch. The first step, love yourself, will help you tremendously. By loving yourself, you will have destroyed much that society has implanted within you. You will have become freer from the society and its conditioning. And the second step is watch. Just watch. Now, Buddha never says what has to be watched. Everything. Walking. Watch your walking. Eating. Watch your eating. Taking a shower. Watch the water. The cold water falling on you. The touch of the water. The coldness. The shiver that goes through your spine. Watch everything. Today, tomorrow, always. A moment finally comes when you can watch even your sleep. That is the ultimate in watching. The body goes to sleep, and there is still a watcher awake. Silently watching the body fast asleep. That is the ultimate in watching. Right now, just the opposite is the case. Just the opposite. Your body is awake, but you are asleep. Then you will be awake and your body will be asleep. The body needs rest. But your consciousness needs no sleep. Your consciousness is consciousness. It is alertness. That is its very nature. The body tires because the body lives under the law of gravitation. It is gravitation that makes you tired. That's why running fast, you will be tired soon. Going upstairs, you will be tired soon because the gravitation pulls you downward. In fact, to stand is tiring. To sit is tiring. When you lie down flat, horizontal, only then is there a little rest for the body. Because now you are in tune with the law of gravitation. When you are standing, vertical, you are going against the law. The blood is going toward the head against the law. The heart has to pump hard. But consciousness does not function under the law of gravitation. Hence, it never gets tired. Gravitation has no power over consciousness. It is not a rock. It has no weight. It functions under a totally different law, the law of grace, or as it is known in the East, the law of levitation. Gravitation means pulling downward. Levitation means pulling upward. The body is continuously being pulled downward. That's why finally it will have to lie down in the grave. That will be the real rest for it. Dust unto dust. The body has returned back to its source. The turmoil has ceased. Now there is no conflict. The atoms of your body will have real rest only in the grave. The soul soars higher and higher. As you become more watchful, you start having wings. Then the whole sky is yours. Man is a meeting of the earth and the sky, of body and soul. I'll join you in the meditation and return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. True inner peace, outer power is generated. With inner freedom, boundless love is created. Meditate on pure consciousness. Feel the inner peace and the outer power. You will discover your divinity. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night, the following morning. We will return here Monday, June 5, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, with the deepest, deepest, deepest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.